Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, wherever it may be. This is a brief rundown on what we're going to cover on tonight's edition of the Klown podcast. So we're going to get into some, NBA All-Star. We're going to recap a little bit, about the format of the NBA All-Star game, like as dedication to the late and great Kobe Bryant, all the festivities to a halftime, the slam dunk contest, three-point shootouts, so on and so forth. And touch upon also the big Dak Prescott signing. It's about time. I think that Jerry Jones let it happen 2 years too late. We'll talk about that. And we're going to also get into what happened with Meyers Leonard, the Heat reserve, who said some very unfortunate slurs during the game. We're going to discuss that. And last but not least, we're going to continue our series of little known women history moments in sports. So until then, let's get it. Also, please subscribe to the channel. You'll be glad, and I'll be glad too. So let's do this. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, wherever it may be. I'm Scott Burks, and this is the Klown Hour podcast. And over to my right, to my left, it's Dwayne Nash. You can see both hands pointing. You can check them out on the r/HBCU Sports, where about all things HBCU Sports, as well as Sleazy Radio every Tuesday now on Facebook Live. Check him and the crew out. It's funny, it's great, it's intelligent. You don't want to miss it. And last but not least, please check out his great work on herosports.com. He reps out FCS athletics as it pertains to HBCUs. As for your boy here, check out my sports website, my blog website, The Klown Times. It's Klown spelled with K at www.theklowntimes.net. And check me out on Facebook as well. We're on your laptop, FaceTop. Smartphone, desktop, wherever you may be, just type in the Klown Times. You'll find me there as well. And one more thing, please subscribe to the channel. Click on the subscribe button. You'll make me happy. You'll make D-Nice happy. And you will be happy because you're going to get to see every new episode pop up. I want to say one more thing because there's another thing after this. Get the merch.
Get the merch.
CafePress.com. Search for the Klown Time Sports. I'll put the address in the description so you can go to it. You'll find my great merchandise there as well. So we're going to get right to it, man. We just finished the NBA All-Star Weekend, the COVID edition of it, because due to the pandemic, they condensed most of the stuff to one day, particularly before the game or during halftime. So before the game, I think was the skills competition, everything else. And we'll get
skills
to
competition and the 3-point contest.
Yeah, which the skills competition was won by Sabonis, that Sabonis kid from Indiana. Which was pretty cool. It's like, if you hadn't seen it, please check it out. It's really fun. But anyway, it was a good way of getting to the All-Star game and whatnot. And we're going to talk about the slam dunk contest and the three-point shot in a minute. But let's talk about the format of the All-Star game. So this is the second year in a row where they did the Kobe-style All-Star game, where each quarter begins at 0-0, and then they tally up the first 3 quarters, right? And whoever's on top, they're going to take 24, the number 24, and off Kobe Bryant, added to the team that's ahead's total score, and whoever gets to that point total first wins. So, for example, in the All-Star game this past weekend, the team LeBron had what was the quick math in my head? 146 points at the end of 3 quarters.
146, yeah. They only added 24, yeah.
Right. So the first team to 170 will win. So obviously Team LeBron is well in front, and so they're able to easily beat Team Durant. But it makes it more competitive, right? As far as the fourth quarter goes. But I mean, hell, no one plays defense in the All-Star game, but it's like a picker game with professionals, with the best players in the world, and that's hella cool. But for some reason, Zion Williamson missed a lot of dunks, but that's neither here nor there. Maybe he was nervous. But
He was probably nervous. Yeah.
yeah, Giannis scored 35 points. He took on
Mm-hmm.
All-Star MVP honors. Kyrie Irving led Team Durant with 24 and 12 assists. But I love this
No,
format.
Beal had 26 in that game.
Oh, that's right, Bill. Bradley Beal. My bad. Bradley
Yeah,
Beal.
that's all right.
Bill was cooking. He was
I
cooking.
gotta big up my wisdom, man. I gotta big up my wisdom. I got to.
Well, he was cooking. He was cooking. But I love this format, man. This is the second year in a row they have it. I'm glad the NBA had an open mind, was progressive enough to tinker it and keep it this way. To honor Kobe, not only to honor Kobe Bryant, obviously, but it makes it more exciting, in my opinion. It makes it more interesting. But anyway, so you feeling the new-ish format now as it stands, with the teams get the teams get to pick the players no longer by conference, obviously, but yeah.
That's the only aspect of it I'm still not necessarily a fan of, but it is what it is, right? Because it gives fans a little bit more to talk about in terms of, well, it gives them an option of something else to watch as well, because you got to watch the draft, right? Because the draft is also interesting.
Yeah. Player draft.
But yeah, we don't get the same old East versus West, which we were accustomed to growing up.
Yeah.
But even though the rosters were still almost that way anyway, there were only two players originally that were drafted from the East to the West and vice versa, or I should say from the East to Team LeBron and vice versa.
Right.
So, this is something we're going to continue to see, and something that I've grown used to, and I'm fine with that. The same way I'm fine with this format of play. It's I can't remember the exact name of it, because it actually has a proper term for it, and they use it. It was originally usable the first time I saw it in the basketball tournament. That's that tournament that's played during the summertime, where they normally have a bunch of guys who currently aren't playing in the NBA form teams together, and normally these teams are
the basketball tournament.
Yes,
basketball tournament.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, these are basically teams that are formed of guys who currently aren't in the league, and they have like a common bond together. Either it's like a team that of international players or guys that play overseas. It's like a team from Syracuse.
Yeah,
a team from the Big 12.
Yeah,
a team of guys that play from the Division II level, and so on and so forth. Right. So that's the first time I've actually seen that format done. So to see like the likes of the NFL, the NBA, to borrow for something on another level that a lot of people aren't necessarily privy to isn't new, but it's welcome.
Right.
And I completely enjoyed it as usual. And it's something that I guess we're going to continue to get used to until people get tired of it. And it seems like people aren't tired of it right now. Now, if memory serves me, the game was a little bit more competitive last year because the scores were a lot closer.
Right.
But it just happened to be this year, man. It was so out of hand by the first quarter, it didn't even matter.
Yeah.
And that's basically because of the likes of Dame Lillard, who had 32, and Steph Curry, who had 28.
They're on the same squad.
Same squad, and both of them shot a combined 16 from 32 from outside the arc. Right. And I'm like, yo, it wasn't like they were just taking regular threes either.
Right.
They were taking insane
from the logo. They were going for the logo.
They were shooting for the logo.
Yeah, they were going for the logo. And back-to-back fashion to end the first half. That was wild.
Oh yeah,
that was wild.
And of course, my favorite three is the one that Steph shot from the corner, where he shot it and turned around.
Yeah, that was hot. That was a response to both LeBron, but really to Chris Webber and what's his name, Reggie Miller. They were calling the game.
Yeah,
talking about, can we see some threes? He had to see something. And being that there's no one in the arena, you can hear almost everybody. So Steph had to hear them. So he just shot that and turned back around and looked at him. That was hot. That was hot.
So yeah, man, it was entertaining as much as it was. But I will say this: the biggest thing, of course, the overarching thing for those who cared to pay attention, because I know I did, was the attention that was brought to HBCUs that entire game, right?
The referees.
And I'll go ahead and I'll co-sign what Jalen Rose said.
Okay.
And I'll quote him, I'll paraphrase him by saying, there are a lot of people out there that thought that maybe HBCUs financially received too much or too little. I'm one that's in the boat who believe that they received too little, but that's another conversation for another time.
Sure, of course.
But the one thing that they can't necessarily get is the exposure. And I applaud the amount of exposure that was given to them, even though I want to champion that, the smaller HBCUs, the ones that we're familiar with, especially the likes of the Bowie States, the
Yes.
Winston-Salem States,
Yeah.
Clark Atlanta, who thankfully that game was in Atlanta. We got an opportunity to see their Philharmonic Choir perform during the pregame show. Albany State, Tuskegee. I want to see those schools get a little bit more time.
St.
Or
Augustine.
Shaw,
Especially
St.
Shaw,
Augustine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those programs or those institutions that don't get as much shines as the Florida A&Ms, the Gramblings, the North Carolina A&Ts, whose Founders Day was just yesterday. Shout out to A&T, 130 years on this
Aggies
planet,
do. Yep.
doing nothing but great things, aka hashtag Aggies do.
Yes, sir.
But I applaud them for what they did and everything that they're doing. Hopefully, the exposure that was generated from this game leads to financial ramifications, which helps these HBCUs and their programs improve.
And you know what? Speaking of which, so LeBron's Nikes, the new LeBron series for FAMU, honoring FAMU, those are hot. Now look, I have family members who went to FAMU. Thanks to my mother's, I told you before, I told the audience before, my mother's family comes from Tallahassee, Florida. A lot of them are FAMU alums. But being an Aggie, I don't like FAMU all that much. But I would say this, those shoes are freaking hot. They're hot.
I'll say this, right?
Yeah.
Well, first and foremost, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of LeBron. And then it'll be damn near difficult to catch me in anything green and orange because of my allegiance to my institution.
Right.
But they're nice. For the youngins, they're nice. I know they like them. They're nice. But the thing is that I have to speak to is the deal. Now, the deal is a multi-year deal, and they get $3.3 million, if memory serves me, that goes towards the marketing of the institution and to the products that go to the school.
Right.
And the other aspect of that deal is this $200,000. I forget where one part of that $200,000 goes, but the other part of that $200,000 annually, that is, goes to their athletic fund. And I'll say this. Matter of fact, where's the camera? The camera is right here.
Yes.
Right?
Look at it.
This is a deal that Florida A&M would not have been able to get in the MEAC, which is a shame. Matter of fact, this deal doesn't start until July, when Florida A&M officially enters the SWAC. This is one of the reasons why Florida A&M left the MEAC to go to the SWAC, because they were capable of brokering these type of deals. Unfortunately, the MEAC pigeonholed their institutions into not being able to do deals like this. And people say that A&T is the program that crushed the MEAC because of them leaving. No, the MEAC is imploding on itself because stuff like this isn't allowed to happen for their member institutions. I mean, this is one small aspect. Well, this is a huge aspect of it because this is a big financial deal that aids the institution. And once again, it leads to exposure because they're going to have celebrities that are going to be out there promoting the product as well. But my God, I hope that the commissioner over in the MEAC is seeing this right now and is wondering, I need to go ahead and make some changes so that we can go ahead and attract members so that we can stay viable. Not even relevant, but viable, because we already had the conversation about the amount of members that they've already lost. And this is a huge example on why they're losing members.
Yeah, well said. And we ask no one to blame but themselves. That's a whole nother podcast that we know a lot of people we can bring here and talk about that between the two of us. True, the guys who already been on this podcast, and they're happy to come back again and rap about that. Yeah. So I think what people seeing us, we're trying to say is we're happy as hell that the NBA is plugging HBCUs over the weekend. Again, as we all know, the All-Star game was in Atlanta. So you have a lot of HBCUs. You got at least 4 or 5, there's Morris Brown, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Spelman. There's 4 of them.
It's the 4. Yeah.
Just the 4. Okay, it's just the 4. Okay, just the 4.
Yeah, it's the most of any city in the United States. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. There you have it. So that was great. That was great that LeBron, the likes of LeBron and Chris Paul, and Carmelo and Anthony have like
Mhm.
plugged HBCU as far as athletics for some of these blue chip kids, these blue chippers, to consider, and I'm glad that they're bringing awareness to that. Chris Paul was said on at least a couple of occasions that he didn't know, even though he grew up in outside of Winston-Salem, Clemens. I mean, he didn't know how big this HBCU stuff would have been if guys like him would have considered school. But you can't blame him for that, right? But the point is that they're bringing awareness now, using the platform to bring awareness to these kids and to introduce these kids to these HBCUs. And given that a lot of them will get much more money whether it's from the state legislatures towards the land grant institutions like the A&Ts, the Centrals, Winston States, the Fairfield States, and so on and so forth, that they look night and day from when we were in college. Let's just be real about it. So, so good for them. Instead of North Carolina alone, that we both know and love. But the point is that I love more awareness to be created by the NBA and by others, thanks to Jeff Bezos' ex, among other things. And, that's good. So, I mean, Brendan Marshall said on the I Am Athlete podcast, which y'all should check out, by the way, it's a damn good podcast on YouTube, that he sees a shift coming. This was like last year, a shift coming where these HBCUs start getting some of these 3-star athletes. And we'll talk more about that later, possibly in the random shit segment about that, what's going on in the SWAC, one Coach Prime. So anyway, not to venture too far, but basically, I think we're sharing a brain that we love this format of the All-Star game. And, but let's wrap this segment up with one more thing. The 3-point shootout was great. Stephen Curry took it home, obviously. Steph Curry took it home, obviously, just on literally the last rack. He beat, Mike Conley?
Mike Conley, yeah.
Yeah, so this was his first All-Star game, by the way, if you could believe that.
First All-Star game and
crazy.
First 3-point contest, if memory serves me. He's been in the league for, 10, 11 years now?
Yeah.
And I will say this, right? And oh, my God, I don't want to disrespect these guys because they're All-Star caliber guys. It's just that they don't seem to be All-Star guys when you put them in comparison, of course, to the LeBrons and the James Hardens. But it was just felt a little weird for me. And this is a confession moment. It felt weird to me to see Vucevic, Zach LaVine, Mike Conley, Jaylen Brown on the court as NBA All-Stars. They're great players, but they're good players. Oh, my God, man. I mean, yeah, they're All-Stars. They just felt a little weird to see them on the floor together.
Which is why you probably missed the conference format, right?
Yeah.
That delineates those a lot more. Yeah.
But you know what? No, because they still would have been the same conference guys. LaVine, Chicago, Vucevic, Orlando, Jaylen Brown, Boston. Well, Mike Conley was on that squad, but he's Utah. Yeah. But I will say this, that's another thing too, and I hope Utah starts sticking in the team. I'm hoping that their regular season success parlays over to the playoffs because for both Rudy Gobert and Mitchell to be drafted last on both teams. God, that's disrespectful, dude. That's disrespectful. And to use the excuse of growing up as kids, we never played with Utah in video games. That's disrespectful, dog.
Yeah, here's why I would tell those guys, and I'm sure they know this, but they're younger, much younger than we are. But which is why I'll say it this way: just use it to kick their asses in the postseason. Now, it's unlikely that they'll beat like the likes of the Lakers and the Clippers in the 7-game series because they'll be facing them in the Western Conference Finals. If things are seeded the way they are now, with the Lakers anyway, the Clippers are the 4th seed right now. But the point is that the way it's set up right now. But that's a damn good team. Again, they're top 3 in both offense and defense, scoring and points allowed. They're top 3 in rebounding as well. That's a damn good Utah team. They just need to get over that hump. Yeah. That's all they need. They're well coached. Just need to get over that hump. But it's going to be a harder road with the Clippers being on the side of the bracket right now. And if you get through them, you're probably going to see the Lakers in the conference finals. Yeah. So even though Phoenix is a great story, they're the 2 seed right now, but still. That's all. They just use this motivation to kick ass, wrap up home court advantage, and just let the chips fall where they may, and just do your best and take care of the rest. But I just want to touch upon the slam dunk contest. Given that given that the stars, the superstars, don't participate like they did when we were growing up.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't give a damn, why the hell should we, the fans, give a damn at this point? Why not just? I said this on I did a little video short the other day. Why don't they just take the slam dunk contest out back and just shoot it? Put it out of its misery. Put it out of its misery. I mean, it's played out now because no one wants to be in it anymore. I mean,
because the superstars don't want to be in it anymore.
Yeah, they don't want to be in it.
Yeah,
they don't want to be in it.
But my question is this, though, Scott. Is it the star factor, or is it the dunking that we're attracted to now? Because if it's the star factor, that's kind of sad because we're not necessarily falling in love with the dunks anymore. Because these guys aren't doing a horrible dunk.
No.
You know,
we just don't know who the hell they are.
Yeah, we just don't know who the hell they are. And the fact that we sit back, and I understand that they've gotten so intricate now that in order for us to truly enjoy them, we have to watch them in slow motion now because it happens so quick. And, you know, I can't, God, every year when these dudes do something, I'm like, what else are we going to do? It's not much else we can do in terms of dunking a basketball unless someone starts doing things that are just borderline physically impossible.
Right.
And I guess that's where that comes in. But yeah, if we're attracted to the star factor, then you might as well just go ahead and get rid of the dunk contest because we're not going to get those stars anymore.
Why don't the stars do it? Why don't the stars do it anymore? I always wondered that. Why don't they give a damn like Jordan? Jordan was a participant. Dominic Wilkins was a participant. Larry Nance, Dr. J. Julius Irving, Spud Webb.
Yeah,
won it one year.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
because it was a thing to do.
Yeah,
for a lot of years, and the attraction and the lure of the dunk contest, especially when it was on Saturday nights, was huge. Matter of fact, it was the closer for the show. That was the last event on Saturday night before going to the All-Star game on Sunday, was to watch the dunk contest. And yes, it's lost its luster, man. And my guess is that either the prize money isn't big enough, or I'm gonna go ahead and say it's probably the prize money. It has to be the prize money. I don't know if it's really anything else. I can't think of anything else other than the prize money, dude.
Yeah.
You know, unless these guys feel as though that they want to go ahead and rest up, because we can go ahead and give it up. We're not seeing LeBron in the dunk contest.
Yeah,
we're not.
That's sad. I mean, that's sad. I wish we could have. I wish we could have. I hope Zion participates one year.
Yeah. So I don't know why Zion probably wasn't in it, other than the fact of, you know, he's still dealing with his injury or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. But I mean, he's dunking in vain. So I don't know why. I don't know. So yeah, until we start getting or making it so that these young stars are willing to do it, or make it mandatory. But I don't know if they want to start making it mandatory. No, that's not going to be cool either. No. But yeah, I don't know what we're going to do.
I mean, remember Vince Carter and Trace McGrady went at it one year?
My God, dude.
One of my favorite slam dunk contests.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing, too. They're so busy trying to change the format to make it interesting. Yeah. That's the other reason why we're losing the interest in this thing. They're changing the format. The judges have been jerks.
Yeah. Remember when D Wade like did what's that kid from Milwaukee? McConnell, I can't pronounce the last name. Yeah,
I know who you're referring to, but yeah, that was last year.
Yeah, when he went for that white man can't jump theme, which he did a great dunk. And he had a T-shirt on, had the backwards hat like Woody Harrelson's character. He did a damn good job. He did a damn good dunk, and he got robbed on that. Dwayne Wade was like, he didn't give him. Did he give him even an 8? And he was like, "Come on, bro, really?" He's like, "Yeah, gotta show me something, brother." He kept D Wade. You heard him say, "You gotta show me something, man." Guy showed me something. He just went about his business at that point. But yeah,
But
how
yeah,
about that?
man, they don't have to get some creative people in there to figure out ways to make this must see TV again because it's gotten to the point where it's beyond. You don't necessarily have to watch it. I watched it. I enjoyed it,
Mhm.
but it's because of course I can't dunk. So things like that still are marvels to me, and I find it hilarious that people who can't dunk aren't intrigued by this anymore. I'm like, dude, you can't do it. And the
Right.
complaints about the kiss the rim dunk, how dare you?
Yeah,
How
no,
dare you?
it's crazy. That kid's name was Pat Connaughton. I probably screw up his last name, but that's his
Yeah, I
name,
couldn't tell you
Pat
what his name is.
Connaughton.
All right.
Anyway, whatever. I fucked up his name. I'm sorry, man. You're a good player. You're a damn good player. I'm sorry for screwing up your last name. Please forgive me. All right, we're gonna close this NBA segment with what happened with one Meyers Leonard. Yeah. So yeah, that was something else. When I first heard the story, man, I was like, ain't no fucking way he said he did that in this day and age, especially when it's recorded. People can record you, especially on a live stream. But yo, I mean, first of all, I'm not going to repeat what he said. I'm not going, and nor should anyone else repeat what the word itself, what he
Mhm.
used, the anti-Semitic slur he used against Jewish people. He just said, I'll skip the word that he used, but he said, quote, he was heard saying, fucking cowards, don't fucking snipe me, you fucking bleep bitch. So apparently he's getting his ass kicked through one of these, I don't know, Call of Duty, one of these motherfucking games. I don't know what the hell they are. But anyway, the point being is that he reached into that bag to actually hurt this person, whoever it was going against him. And basically his apology was let me if I could pull it up. He apologized on Instagram, but basically he said that he didn't know what the word meant, but that's not an excuse for using it. He said he was sorry after he said that he didn't know what the word meant, which I call bullshit on that because to me, for him to use the emphasis, the two emphasis, you know what those words are, it's the emphasis.
Mm-hmm.
You motherfucking bleep. You fucking bleep.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, he said, you fucking bleep, bitch. Two amplifiers sandwiched around that one word, that word is considered the Jewish community's N-word. That's the N-word. Plain and simple. You just do not say that word. You don't say any other slurs for that matter. We should be kinder to each other, period. But don't go to that bag. Given the history of the Jewish community, the trials that they faced during the Holocaust, well, as we all know, as we should know, and yes, the Holocaust was real. So all you white supremacists out there.
Oh, we don't believe that yet.
People still don't believe that shit, but it was real. So let's just get that out of the way. Now, I don't know if you heard this, but Julian Edelman from the Patriots, he's Jewish. Mm-hmm. He reached out to Meyers Leonard in a post on Twitter. I'm not going to read it. It's out there. Similar to what he did to Deshaun Jackson. He reached out to him. Now, I would say this. It was nice. His tone was much nicer with Deshaun Jackson than it was for this kid. It was much nicer because I guess they're both football players, they're both contemporaries, and they both see themselves in each other like both being from minority communities. But here's the thing, speaking of which, is this. People tend to have this notion that racism tends to exist from white on black. What it really is, community against other marginalized communities, or even against the white community. Racism is racism, period, end of discussion. And in this case here, this kid, Leonard, used a term that affects a community, a persecuted community. Even though they're considered white for the most part, they're still considered an ethnic minority in this country, and which is heavily criticized in this country and around the world throughout the years. Because I always would say, man, the only communities that could truly understand what we as Black people went through in America or still going through in America to a certain extent, are the Jewish communities and the Native Americans. So that's why I think that's why, I guess I feel more sympathetic in this case towards the Jewish community. And that Meyers that was a cool. And by the way, that team down in Miami Heat is owned by Mickey Arson, who's Jewish. So how do you think that's going to go down with him? Your boss, the guy who signs your checks, you offended him.
Yeah.
Heavily offended, badly offended him. And Doug Gottlieb was talking, who's Jewish, by the way, Doug Gottlieb on Fox Sports. He was talking with Chris Broussard last night about that. And he's obviously, as you can imagine, is pissed at him.
Yeah.
Now, I would say this, man, before I turn it over to you. This is the same Meyers Leonard who, during the bubble, he was conflicted whether to sit with see you point at me, to stand with his brothers, to kneel with his brothers or stand, because he apparently has family in the military. He conferred with many of his teammates, one of them being Udonis Haslam, got his blessing. And he also wrote an op-ed for the undefeated. So you think this guy was on his way to some type of enlightenment, this young man. But then he turns around and does this. He does this. And man, you had to know, since he did it in the comfort of his own home, where you're at your most comfort, this is probably not his first time saying that word. I'm just going to take a gander and guess this is not his first time saying it. This is the first time he got caught and having to pay for it. So anyway, let me turn it over to you before I go too far off the rails with this. And that is how crazy it is, and just give your thoughts on that. And we'll pretty much like pontificate on what we think the league should do and what the Heat's are going to do from this point going forward with this kid.
Well, first and foremost, after I kind of stuck my foot in my mouth last week in an attempt to defend Greg McDermott, kind of, I keep saying this every time, and then I always have a lapse a couple of years where I'm saying that I'm never going to defend a player ever again, or anyone, period, ever. And like I said before, I always have that lapse. I'm not going to defend Meyers Leonard in this situation. I will say, like you said, because a lot of the things that I was going to say things that you just said.
Yeah.
He had to be in the comfort of his own. He had to be comfortable in order to say that. And it's once again a word in his lexicon that he's free of saying. And now I didn't hear the audio, but based upon what I'm hearing, was that he kind of winced after he said it, because he kind of realized that, oops, I didn't say something I wasn't supposed to say in a place that I wasn't supposed to say it. Which leads me to believe that he knew what he was saying and knew that it was offensive, but it was entirely too late. Right? And it's messed up because, like you said about the whole Black Lives Matter while I was in the bubble, how he refused to kneel. But I'm not anti him not kneeling.
Right. Neither was I. I appreciate his transparency.
Yes. But I just kind of find it funny that, we got to put this in context, that happened. And then this happened.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you talk about the owner of the Miami Heat being Jewish, right? With that said, Meyers Leonard is going to be a free agent at the end of the year.
That's correct.
You talk about what the NBA is going to do to him. They probably won't have to do much because of the fact that he's a free agent. He probably won't get signed by anybody. Exactly. And there are a lot of Jewish owners out there. I can think of a few off the top of my head.
Mark Cuban is another one.
Yeah.
Very influential. Yeah.
Ted Leonsis. There are a lot of, NBA league owners that are Jewish. So, yeah, he may have to spend some time out of the league in order for him to go ahead and rethink his actions. Is there a possibility that he may come back into the league? Probably. Because, he's still young. He has a little.
He's a stretch five. He can shoot the three. He can rebound. He can defend.
Yeah.
Wildly in the post. He'll have a job, but yeah, he's not a star.
No, he's not a star, and it's
Right.
going to be a minute before he ends up working back in the NBA again. Um, so yeah, this situation will take care of itself.
Yeah.
This thing will right itself.
Which is why, I mean, I'm not big on cancel culture.
Neither am I.
I think that, I mean, you know, we all have done some fucked up shit.
Yeah.
If someone were to find out what every one of us have done at a certain period of time in our lives, none of us will have jobs. Let's just be real about that. None of us will have jobs. So that's why I'm not big on the cancel culture stuff. I'm bigger believer, and you pointed it out, is that every action has consequences.
Yeah.
You know, people like to say, well, about free speech, blah, 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 even though free speech has nothing to do with this shit. That only pertains to the government, protecting your ass from the government prosecution. That's what the First Amendment is, boys and girls. But even still, for the ones who erroneously go to that First Amendment free speech argument, you can say whatever the hell you want. I tell people this: you can say whatever the hell you want.
Comes ramifications.
Just don't bitch and cry and moan about the consequences. Because if you call Pookie and them right at your bus stop, or if you would say like we both, I spent time in DC. You're from the DC area, so if your ass is coming from, I don't know, Chevy Chase down the red line, you get off, if you happen to get off at Chinatown and call an Asian gentleman a slur, you can no one's saying that you prohibit from not saying what you feel, but don't complain when you're about to feel those hands.
Yeah. Well, let me go ahead and put this into context so people will understand.
Yeah.
Chevy Chase, the Chevy Chase area is northwest of DC. It's right there in Maryland.
Yeah.
That whole Chevy Chase, Titleytown area, right to that DC Maryland border.
Yeah.
Well, the DC side is the most affluent section of DC there is. Matter of fact, that side of DC makes the average earned income for that side of DC is 10 times that of the poor side of DC, which is in the Southwest, which of course is majority Black. But yeah, so you can imagine someone coming from that neighborhood who probably is a little bit more privileged, in many ways.
Yeah.
And yet, you know, I went to high school in that region, so yeah, I'm rather familiar. And they come down to Chinatown. Chinatown is right in the center of the city's downtown area. And I'll say this, right? Any spot where you know, a lot of people have access to, especially in the district as it pertains to the metro. Yeah. Just know that whatever you say, chances are that someone's gonna respond in kind.
Right.
And it might not be kind.
It would not. It would not be kind. It would never be kind. Like I never say never, but I can 99.9% say for certain the response would not be kind.
Yeah, I'll say this though. Yes, Chinatown is gentrified and it's a lot cleaner than what it once was.
Yeah.
So of course, with the Capitol Center, where the Wizards and the Capitals play.
Yeah.
At one point in time, there were questions on whether or not they should move that arena there. I'm going through this quick history lesson. Because of the amount of crime that was there. Excuse me, but when they moved the arena there, of course, it ended up attracting businesses there, which ended up eventually cleaning up the area. But yeah, I mean, I understand it's Chinatown. Yeah, you can't do that. I'll say this: you can't be anywhere and say a slur about anyone because you don't know who might be there. And to your point, yes, you have the freedom to say whatever you want, but just understand that whatever deposits you put out there, they come with receipts.
That's correct.
You may like that receipt, you might not like that receipt. So, hey, be careful how you treat my love. Let me go ahead and shout that out to Phil Connor. So, yeah, go ahead, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
But, hey,
get
ready to protect your neck because just like the same way you got the freedom to say what you want, people got the freedom to do whatever.
To respond in kind.
You know what I mean? There could be legal ramifications to it, but just know that, hey, things might happen.
You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. It's just like I tell people also to married men or men with significant others, female significant others. If you want to test that theory, call your woman the bitch.
Yeah.
Test that theory. I double dare you to test that theory. Or if you're an employee, if you're on your own business, tell your boss to go fuck him or herself. See where that'll get you.
Yeah.
I get
right?
It's free speech. You can say whatever you want.
Say what you want.
But just prepare for those consequences. And if your wife divorces you, if your significant other dumps you for another dude or for another woman, or if your boss fires your ass, you have no one to blame but your dumbass self. That's why it does not apply in this.
I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up like this, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We all understand that certain words or certain words and actions there's going to be a certain response to those things.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to be cognizant of that.
Right.
And in doing so, hey, I'm not going to say don't say what you want to say or don't do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And pick your spot. But just know that whatever you want to do, it's going to be a ramification to it.
Exactly. And that's all we're trying to say. So, I mean, look. Now, look, I've always been averse dudes getting fired, women getting fired, losing their jobs. I mean, again, the consequences will speak for themselves. I'll just say this. For Meyers Leonard from where he came from what kind of the events he had over the last year, along being in the bubble and being featured to the point, coming to understand to the point where he didn't opt-ed, voluntarily did so, and did a damn good job of doing so, and opt-ed for the undefeated. And I think he also did something with the Players Tribute to discuss his experiences.
Okay.
That was good on his part. I mean, it showed at the time that he was trying to evolve and trying to change his way of thinking, right? From a position of privilege. And understanding from his teammates' point of view. Because he had that chat with Udonis Haslem and a few others about that. It's just to see him going from that to this. That's very disappointing for him. I'm sure he's disappointed in himself. I just wish that he would have cut the bullshit when he said he didn't know what the word meant. He knew what it meant. He knew what it meant. And he probably used it before. To say in the comfort of his own home, he said it before. So just say, I'm wrong, I'm sorry, and just leave it at that. He did it right. The second half of his apology was on point. It's just the first part of his apology just invalidated the last part of it. And that's not a good thing. So we'll see what happens to it.
Yeah, I'll say this to wrap this up again.
Yeah, man.
He's young.
Yeah.
And my God, I forgot what my point is already. That's the thing. I'm getting old, dude.
We're old.
we getting old, bro. It's just interesting because when I first heard what happened, the very first thing I thought about was the bubble. It is. That's the first thing I thought about. That I was like, Meyers Leonard, Miami Heat.
That's right.
Oh, the bubble dude. So come on, dog. And like you said, it ain't even been a year.
Hadn't been a year. And to go from that to all the way down here.
Yeah.
In less than a year's time. It's just.
And once again, not saying that what he did originally in the bubble was offensive.
It wasn't. Again, I appreciate his transparency. I appreciate his honesty. I appreciate his willingness to make himself vulnerable and share his story with the undefeated. But again, it's disappointing to see him go from that point to this point, in such a short amount of time. And we'll see. He'll be radioactive for a while probably, but we'll see. So let's just hope for the best for him. The last thing we're going to get into, right quick before the women's history segment, is Dak Prescott. Dude got paid. Unfortunately, it may have some ramifications against the salary cap, even though there's a loophole, I think, which is in the language of the contract we'll get to in a minute. But anyway, let's get to the specifics. 4 years, $160 million, $66 million signing bonus. I chose the wrong profession. $66 million signing bonus. And I think he's going to make over $100 million in guarantees in his first 2 years. Must be nice. the thing is, though, is that, you know, we all know that Prescott won. He kicked Jerry Jones's ass in this one, because it's like, what your leverage is only as strong as your options. What are the Cowboys' options at quarterback? DiNucci, Andy Dalton, some other dude that I don't remember his name. You would have gone to the next season with that offensive talent, a skilled position players.
No.
Those three at quarterback and not Dak? No.
We don't even know Dak's health right now, right?
Right.
But what they do know is whatever Dak is right now is better than what they currently have on the roster. So,
healthy.
Yeah, they didn't want to go that.
Dak at 80% is better than those threes 100% combined.
Yeah.
Let's just be real about it. Talking to Cowboy Nation, members of Cowboy Nation, who I know too many of, and friends with too many of, their whole thing is this: they love Dak.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't love him at $40 million per season, and which is true, because he's only paid less than rather than Mahomes. He makes more than Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, yeah.
But people tend to forget that it's all about the market.
Yeah.
Because everything is trending up. Remember when Jared Goff got that money? That's considered cheap now.
Yeah.
So let's put it this way.
Dude, when Kirk Cousins got this deal, people were like, up in arms. I said, okay, well, wait until next year. Wait until next year.
It's all about, gonna go up. It's the market. Yeah. So let's see. We talk about next year. Here the quarterback's going to be up for an extension. Josh Allen in Buffalo, who I predict is going to be the new highest paid quarterback. He's going to be the highest paid quarterback, more than likely. Then you have this young man in Baltimore named Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, yes, sir.
Going to get paid. Then after that, if he's still winning, if he's still not turning over the football, Baker Mayfield is up. And, then a few years after that, Joe Burrow in Cincinnati is going to be up. Go to I keep calling San Diego. Go to the Chargers. That kid. That kid
yeah.
Who won the Rookie of the Year. Yeah. Who, you almost had the throwback one with Bobby Hebert.
I did say Hebert. Yeah.
I saw
Justin Herbert.
I saw that. Yeah, Justin Herbert. He's going to be up for a huge extension soon. So it's all about where the market is going. And then with Patrick Mahomes, he's going to be in his third contract because he's only 25 years old, right? If he still balls out, he's going to be up for another extension. He's going to get buku amount of money on top of that.
Oh, no, I thought he had a 10-year deal.
It's 10 years?
I thought it was something like 10 years.
Oh, it's a 10 years. Oh, shit. Well, Kansas City got a steal.
Yeah, they did.
For 10 years?
They did. I thought it was,
my bad.
10 years.
Okay. Yeah. Well, damn. Well, Kansas City dodged a bullet then. Financial bullet, it is.
The only way that this stops, of course, is if the owners stop it. If they go ahead and pull the MLB.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? We're not going to play our stars. We're not. If they want to work here, they're going to take what we give them.
Right.
I understand what the market is, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But at some point,
yeah.
And, MLB is like, I'm not going to pay you. I was thinking of a very colorful adjective or descriptor to use there. And I said, nah, I'm not going to do it because it's about to be too colorful. But, yeah, MLB was like, dude, what you going to do? Where you going to play baseball? Puerto Rico? Japan? Canada?
Right.
Mexico? Where you going to play? I mean, you want to play here. You want the money. So if you want the money, you take what we give you. And if the other owners fall in line, they're like, yeah, dog, that's all we want to pay.
Well, let's put it this way. The players union in the NFL is too weak to fight back.
Which is another reason why if the owners decide to do that, it makes it so lovely for them to do so. But, it is what it is. So, hey, either the owners will catch on or the players union will catch on. Somebody's going to catch on soon enough. And if I'm an NFL owner and I'm looking at MLB and I want to save some ducats, I'm probably doing that.
Speaking of owners, I think Dak's contract has language where they can have like they has like voidable years at the end of it. It's a 4-year contract. It's a 4-year contract. I think they have a couple of voidable years at the end of it because I forgot the exact term that they use for it. But basically what they could do is they could use if the cap number gets big, they could parlay that into a signing bonus. They could restructure that usually as a signing bonus on the front end. So for example, his cap number for like for this year, it's less than 30 million.
Okay.
Because of all the guaranteed money he's getting, right? And then I think what's going to happen is when his salary cap number hits over 40 mil in years 3 and 4, there's language where they could actually, it's something that they could use some of the salary, change to a signing bonus, spread the rest out on the voidable years to reduce that cap number. Again, I forgot the actual term that they use for it. It's in the contract. And I think a lot of players have that same type of terminology where you can have at voidable dummy years at the end that more than likely they're going to void out anyway, just so that they could spread the cap hit out.
Okay.
I think teams may look at that and say, nah, we're not going to do that anymore because they're getting around. They found a loop. That's a loophole that they found. Yeah.
If owners and GMs are starting to pay notice, what else are they going to start paying notice to, right? So we'll see how this goes because remember, this is how we got to the rookie pay cap.
That's right.
Or the rookie pay scale. You know, they were like, we can't keep doing this. We have to do something. It's going to come a point where it's going to start getting to, because if you look at it like this, Dak, Zeke's, and matter of fact, Dak, Zeke, and who's the receiver? Amari Cooper are in the top 5, if not the top 3, in terms of pay within their respective positions. And it's well over 100 million combined between the 3 of them. That is insane, especially with a salary cap that's under 190. Who else are you paying? And you can't win games like that. So it's going to come a point where either, like I said before, owners are going to go ahead and start taking notice and start wanting to pay these guys less money, or they're just going to go ahead and just start getting more and more younger players.
Yeah, that's true. So but I would say this: if Jerry Jones, get back to the contract itself, if Jerry Jones had done this shit 2-3 years ago, like he should have, when Dak had years remaining, his cap number would be a lot lower.
Yep.
And they would have been able to sign up for 30 plus 30 some odd mil that they wanted to sign up for before. So eventually they're paying him more. They're paying him what he asked for, been asking for from the jump. But they would have been smile. If they would have been done, it would have been easy on the cap. The cap hit would be so high if this would have been done while he had years left. Jerry Jones fucked this up. He really messed this up. He messed this up.
My God, I love it. Oh my God, I love it so much. This makes me feel so good. Oh my God, to see this ineptitude. When I told you I've seen this movie before, I know what it looks like. It looks like insanity. You know, I don't know how much money they have left in their cap right now, but I know this much. I know how much they spend on 4 players, and it's a whole lot of dough. And I don't know if you're going to have a whole lot of money in order to help out that old line which is struggling, which Zeke is going to need in order to be successful. And of course, for Dak to stay upright. And then, of course, they still need to fill out that defensive side of the ball because they can't stop nobody.
That's correct. And that's where they're going to hurt because they still have to, they got holes. Now, I know they're slated to draft Patrick Surtain II. I think they're picking, 10th?
Something like that, yeah.
So they got them now, unless one of these offensive studs falls into the laps, but I don't see that happening. So
they got holes in different area codes. Boy, I swear that old line, that D line,
yes,
that linebacker core, as talented as he is, is talented, They
Yeah.
just can't stay healthy.
Right.
And then that secondary got hold.
It's
So,
horrible.
yeah, they got hold.
Yeah.
They got hold. So
But
yeah,
you know when your best player is a second-round draft pick, Stephon Diggs' brother, Trayvon Diggs.
yeah.
He's a baller, by the way. He's a baller. But he's a second-round draft pick. He's your best player right now. He was a rookie last year, though. He was a rookie last
but
year.
you know what? I would say I would question whether or not how it will be for your best player to be a second round rookie, right? Because don't sleep on Darius Leonard, because of course he's a second round pick as well.
Yeah,
But
true.
he's also a early second round pick, so he's
Right.
almost a first round pick.
Right.
But don't sleep on Darius now. Second round pick.
I'm jumping.
Gotta sit on my
Yeah.
HBCU product.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, but what I'm saying is, as a star-studded team like Dallas,
Yeah.
on your defense, if your best player is a rookie, a second-round draft pick, I mean, again, I don't mean to knock second-round picks. You got a point there. It's almost like drafting the first round. They're comparable. What I'm trying to say is, it's a rookie who's not as much ballyhooed, if you will, as the other rookies out there. So he's their best player right now, and especially on the back end. So they need help.
Yeah.
But can they afford to get the help outside of some
But can they afford help?
And the answer is probably no.
It's a quote, Eldebard, and I like it.
I like it. Spoken as a true Washington football team and fellow Cowboy hater as well. Fan and fellow Cowboy hater as well. This gets us to how interesting we come down from all of that to the women's history in sports segment, which again, for those who don't know, we're doing this for the entirety of Women's History Month, which is March. And similar to what we did for Black History Month last month, we're going to touch upon the little-known heroes, female sports heroes, white, black, whatever, right? Because they're all women in the end. So we're not going to talk about Billie Jean King. Everyone knows who Billie Jean King is. Everyone knows who other heroes like Serena, Maria Navratilova, Chris Evert, and the beat goes on. Folks know who they are. But we want to cover little-known female sports heroes and talk about how they have the impact in their sport. So I will give my two. My man D Knight's going to give his two. So right quick, and this is who you're going to appreciate, man. Toni Stone. Now, who is Toni Stone? You might ask. Good
question.
Toni Stone became the first woman to play professional baseball when she suited up for the Indianapolis Clowns of the Negro American League.
Right, I heard about her. Yeah.
Yes, and she played. She began playing on semi-pro teams when she was 16, and she started barnstorming with the Negro leagues. And that was because she couldn't play in the segregated All-American Girls Professional Baseball League, which was the movie A League of Its Own, I believe, is based off of. Remember the line, "There's no crying in baseball" by Tom Hanks' character? So that's what led
about the
her.
other sports movies? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It was classic, but that's what led her to the Negro leagues. So they signed the Indianapolis Clowns, signed Stone to a contract in 1953, when she became the first woman to play professional baseball with men. So basically, even though her teammates and family were not supportive, she would also endure ridicule from fellow players, even while sitting on the bench. Similar to what Jackie Robinson experienced when he first suited up for the Dodgers. Some of his own teammates didn't want him. He had to deal with that, so she dealt with that from a gender discrimination level, to the point that she told the San Francisco Chronicle in 1991, it was hell, quote, it was hell dealing with it. So basically, she retired from baseball in 1954 due to lack of playing time, but she became a nurse later on in life. She died in 1996 at the age of 75. And, but there's a, speaking of A League of Its Own, I don't know if you remember this scene, Dwayne, but there was a scene where someone was throwing the ball back and forth, and the ball got past Gina Davis's character.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some black people in the segregated part of the outfield watching from behind the bench of the dugout. I mean, not the dugout, but the bullpen area. They were watching. It was like 2 or 3 women and 2 or 3 brothers right there, dressed up, just as nice as they used to do back in the day. So a woman reached and picked it up, and Gina Davis's character was like, you know, friendly in a very friendly moment. They weren't mean to him, but they say, "Hey, just throw the ball back to us, please." And she took the ball. This out in the outfield, they're out in the outfield, and threw it. And Gina Davis caught it, and she was like, she kind of like, "Ow, shit!" And just took the ball out. And then she looked at her, and the black woman looked at her back and did like this. People said, urban
That's what
legend
that's supposed to be.
that was Toni Stone. That's what people said.
Okay.
People said that was Toni Stone. So they didn't say who she was, but I think it was implied that was Toni Stone.
Yeah.
Because Toni Stone, remember, she tried to play in that league, but she was denied a chance because she was of her skin color. So I found that very interesting. So you see it all over the internet. That's like a conspiracy theory, if you will. But that was a little known snippet in that movie. That was a little snippet in that movie. But they played it over again on the web. I think it was last year, doing all this racial unrest, and there was like the message being is like, how cool it would be if they could take that moment and parlay that into another movie based upon that woman's story in the Negro Leagues.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
I would prefer to see that than another slave movie. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah, me too. We watched Amistad. They're doing Black History Month this year, like with our son, and that was heavy. I didn't need to see that again. So
yeah.
But anyway, just to say, I saw that to say this that was supposed to be Toni Stone in that movie, that moment, throwing that ball back. But anyway, that's Toni Stone. The next person I'm gonna talk about is right quickly is Ann Meyers Drysdale.
Okay.
Now, first of all, she was formerly Ann Meyers. Now, who's Ann Meyers, you might ask? She was a true trailblazer for women in basketball. So basically, before, what's her name? That white lady, she coached in the Big Three, famous basketball player. I forget her name. It's on the tip of my tongue. But anyway.
Coaching the Big Three.
Yeah, she was.
Not Dawn Staley.
No. Dawn Staley is black, but I'm talking about. She's a white lady. She's an NBA. She's a.
Oh, you mean God? What is her name? Lieberman.
Yes, Nancy Lieberman. Yes, her.
Yeah.
Before her,
I forgot Lieberman was the coach there in the league.
Yeah,
right.
And she was one of the better basketball players in American sports history. But
yes, sir.
But before her, and she's a good one to talk about too. But before her was Ann Meyers. So Ann Meyers distinguished herself. She played at UCLA. She was an All-American women's basketball player 4 times. She was the first woman to accomplish that feat. And she's later got named to UCLA Athletics Hall of Fame. She was the first player, man or woman, in the history of Division I athletics to pull off a quadruple double. She was the first person to do that. And she won a silver medal with the women's team in 1976 while she was still in college. So she played with pros at the time. She was offered a chance to try out rather for the Indiana Pacers in 1979, as well as a $50,000 personal services contract with the Pacers. So basically, she was the first woman with a realistic shot to play for an NBA squad. That is Ann Meyers. So there's a lot more to her than that. She basically, that turned out to be a publicity stunt, but she was legit. She was legit. And, she ended up, I think she served as general manager of the Phoenix Mercury in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. and she was enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame and the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame. So again, Ann Meyers Drysdale, that's who she was. And those are my contributions to this week's edition of Women's History in Sports.
Well, I'll say this. I kind of feel bad about my first one
Uh-oh.
because people know about this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I still couldn't go through this month without paying homage to her. And that's of course one Althea Gibson.
Yes.
Althea Gibson, tennis player and professional golfer, was one of the first African Americans to cross the color lines in international tennis. In 1956, she became the first African American to ever win a Grand Slam championship.
Yep.
And between 1956 and 1958, she went on to win 5 single Grand Slam titles, 5 double Grand Slam titles, and a mixed double Grand Slam titles. And of course, she is an alum of Florida A&M. So let me move on to my second one. Oddly enough, Scott, you must have been cheating off my paper, my God. Because with your Ann Meyers will lead me to another young lady, another former basketball, actually current basketball player. Her name is Shakyla Hill. Don't know if you're necessarily familiar with that name or not.
Okay.
But those who aren't, this former Grambling State point guard, when she graduated from GSU, she had 612 assists and 488 steals, which made her first at Grambling in both categories in women's basketball. Those 488 career steals also made her the first ever as a woman to have steals in the SWAC conference. Now, Hill also ranked third at Grambling State all-time on the scoring list and second all-time in the rebounding category. But she's only 5'7", remember, she's a point guard. Now, how does this link up to Miss Ann Meyers? The thing that a lot of people may remember her for, she stands out because she is the first player ever in NCAA history to post 2 quadruple doubles. Matter of fact, there are only 5 quadruple doubles in NCAA history. She has 2. With that said, with the amount of numbers that she put up and at Grambling, there were a lot of people that thought that she would go pro. Unfortunately, she went undrafted in the WNBA, never got a chance to play there. But she would end up going to play over in Serbia. She played for a club there called the ZCK Kraljevo. Make sure I can get that correct. The ZKK Kraljevo, where she would go on to be the WABA. She would go on to be named to the WABA Defensive All First Time Team. She was also named Defensive Player of the Year, and that team would go on to win the Serbian Cup in 2000. Oh, yeah. She would go on and become the first person in that league to post a quadruple double there, too. Wow. So she has 3 career quadruple doubles.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Shakyla Hill of Grambling State University.
Nice. All right. So we've now entered the much ballyhooed and much hyped random shit segment brought to you by no one. I got my contribution, and I shared the brand with you on this. My brother and I were talking about Deion Sanders, Coach Prime. My brother, he's an alum of Winston State University. He doesn't watch a lot of college basketball, but he did watch Grambling host Jackson State.
That was a good game.
That was a damn good game. And to the point where people were saying this is this first true test at Jackson State. Because, of course, he beat an NIA school the week before. So, but Grambling, not only they have the longest home winning streak in the FCS, if I'm not mistaken, but I just lost my train. Oh, yeah. They own Jackson State.
Yeah, well, they did. Yeah.
They did own them. But they did, but they don't anymore. Jackson State won 33-28. It had a wild ending because Jackson State fumbled at the chance to go up by 2 scores. And then here comes Grambling, who had a chance to take the lead with a minute left, but they fumbled at the goal line.
Man.
But that was wild. It was a wild game, and congrats to Coach Prime. He's 2-0. He beat a power on the road in the SWAC. And so people are like, well, they're 2-0. Jackson State is 2-0. They beat a power in Grambling on the road, the team that's owned them for the last few seasons.
I'll say this though, Scott, right? Mm-hmm. So you're right. They had beaten Jackson consecutively since 2012, right? Mm-hmm. But I'll say this about Grambling. Grambling's taking they're going into an interesting direction ever since their Celebration Bowl loss.
Excuse me. Mm-hmm.
Before that, they were, 36-3 ever since Broderick Fobb's hiring in 2014 against the SWAC. Past 3 seasons, they're 11-7. Mm. Yeah, so it's interesting. They've averaged a record of 4-3 against within conference for the past 2 years, and I didn't necessarily think that they would go ahead and get much better this year. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking that this would be at least a test because this is a team that I don't think anyone believed that Jackson would be able to beat, and the fact that they competed against them speaks volumes. I don't know if they necessarily still win the division yet because Alabama A&M looked fantastic against South Carolina State this past weekend as well, beating them 31-7. Mm-hmm. But that sets them up to potentially go. And I'm talking about Jackson State to go 3-0, where they play Mississippi Valley State this weekend, a team that they probably should beat.
Yeah, it should be interesting, man. So let me yarn. Like I have a dog now, like since Saturday, and he's an adult. He's a lab retriever mix, but it's my son's dog. So my son is learning how to take care of a dog. He sleeps in this room. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, my son likes to get up early, and I'm afraid that he would set the alarm off if he takes him outside so early in the morning. Gotcha. So I had to get, because I hear him get up. So I'm like, my anxiousness, my anxiety kicks in. I can't really go back to sleep. So I gotta get up, turn off the
alarm.
The alarm, and sometimes I have to go downstairs and make sure he takes him out. So he told me Daddy. He's like, Daddy, I'm gonna take him out at 6:30, which I get up a little bit before 6:30. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. But he's feeding him now. He's getting more attached to the dog. So anyway, I say all that to say he's been keeping me up the last 3 nights, actually with anxiety. So I hadn't had a full good night's sleep in 2 nights. But anyway, the dog is great. The dog is potty trained. He's potty trained. He's just trying. He's good with people for the most part. He took a little bit to warm up to us at the shelter. It's a no-kill shelter, so everything's very humane. There's Rowan there shelter outside of Cincinnati, but I just need to get more acclimated to the other dogs, and that comes from time. And I got him enrolled in the obedience class this Saturday, so it should be all good with other dogs there. I'm dog owner, so it should start to become more comfortable around other dogs. I don't know why they didn't socialize with the dogs at the shelter, but that's neither here nor there. But the point is, it'll be done sooner rather than later. Also, quick shout out to the NHL. They finally got a deal. They're back with ESPN. So they got a multi-platform deal. So now, which means the Stanley Cup playoffs, which I believe is arguably the best postseason tournament in all sports. They will no longer be a witness protection program on the NBC Sports Network.
So, they had no choice because, they were about to go to business.
That's correct. That's correct. So ESPN had negotiated from a obvious form of strength, position of strength. But still, the point is that we get to see the NHL on a challenge that we can get. Yeah. No more wondering, the Stanley Cup finals going on right now? Really? Okay. So, plus shout out to the Carolina Hurricanes. Go Hurricanes. We're on the winning streak. We're about to take down the Tampa Bay Lightning. Maybe not yet. But yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. So that's all I have. Do you have any other additions to the bullshit random shit segment?
Yeah, I'm going to keep it quick because, of course, you know,
Okay.
it's HBCU related. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
got to. I got
Mm-hmm.
to.
You got it, of
First and
course.
foremost, um, MEAC and SWAC tournament, basketball tournament start this week.
Yes.
Actually, the SWAC tournament started today. We have
Mm-hmm.
both men's and women's first round action starting today. MEAC starts
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow. And starting tomorrow as well are the NCAA indoor or Division One indoor track championships. And of course, I bring that up because there are 12 HBCU alums. No, I'm sorry, not alums. 12 HBCU students, current students that
Mm-hmm.
are participating. 10 of which are from North Carolina A&T.
Mm.
So there's going to be a lot of talented athletes participating in this championship this weekend. There's a possibility that most of them will be competing for titles. So on Saturday's going to be a busy day for me watching basketball tournaments and this NCAA tournament as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is NCAA track championship as well. Tried to keep up with them and see who was capable of walking away with a medal in their respective sports. And
Mm-hmm.
with that said, shout out to the North Carolina A&T State University women's bowling team, which is ranked fourth in the nation.
Mm.
Fourth. So yeah,
Nice.
there's a lot of big things going on with A&T as it pertains to athletics. I know this is the random shit segment, but I'm going ahead and go talk a little Aggie stuff right now. Um, because men's and women's basketball teams both won their respective divisions. They're going to be number one seeds in the MEAC tournament. The several athletes that are participating in the indoor track championships and have the ability to walk away with gold and national titles. That's coming up big. And then, of course, the bowling tournament has a tournament to participate in um, this weekend, which is going to lead to them going to the MEAC championships next week
Mm-hmm.
and the national championships in a couple of weeks. So
Mm.
they have a big weekend. So A&T Athletics is going to be doing big things this weekend.
Good stuff. All right. Might as well call it. It's a wrap. Thank y'all for tuning into the Klown podcast on March 10th. Please continue to check out Dwayne Nash's good work on the Yards of HBCU Sports, where we rest about all things HBCU Sports, as well as Sleazy Radio every Tuesday night. Check him out on Facebook Live. You'd be glad you did. Also, check out his great work on HeroSports.com. He raps about FCS athletics as it pertains to HBCUs. And as for me, please subscribe to the channel. Again, I'll be happy. D-Nash will be happy. And you will be happy because you get the chance to catch up with all of our new videos. I'll be creating fragments of this video as well, different segments rather, so that you can pop in and pop out if you want. Please also get the merch, cafepress.com.
Get the merch.
Search for the Klown Sports as well. The Klown, I think the Klown Time Sports there. By the way, the actual link will be in the description below. And one last thing, stay indoors. And if you haven't got your, if you eligible to get your shots, the COVID vaccine, get the damn vaccine. Don't be like one of these crazy ass anti-vaxxers out there who don't believe in science. Get the vaccine if you can. Make sure if you have elderly parents like we do, make sure they get the vaccine. Mine has hers already, but she's getting her next one next week. So please push your elderly loved ones to get the vaccine. They're the most vulnerable population of victims. Also, if you're up for them, get them. As I mentioned earlier, kids won't get them, but so much later because they're not as vulnerable as us older folks and our elderly parents and loved ones. And if we're going out, if you don't have your vaccine yet, or if you do, and you still want to stay safe, wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
It's easy. It's not hard. If you gotta wear shoes, if you got signs that says no shoes, no shirt, no service, why the hell are you bitching about a mask? Put that mask on. What are you gonna do? Go butt naked to the local 7-Eleven? Just put a damn mask on. It's not hard. It's not hard. Just put it on if you go in the store. Take them off when you leave. It's that simple. And wash your damn hands. We don't need this shit spreading.